I actually went into Cigars Daily Nation and asked about something instead of just shit posting. Fold myself up.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Dirt Road Nation.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jake.
And we are the Dirt Road Men. That still works too. That's even better. We didn't talk about the second half of that intro, we just rolled with it, and it worked out. So in this video, we were going to go through tasting whiskey and how to get started tasting your own whiskey. I kind of learned that mostly from you, so I thought you could kind of lead us in on that a little.
Well, the first thing it really does help if you have a glass, like a Glencairn or some kind of tulip-shaped glass for when you're trying to nose it. As far as the actual flavors, I don't think it makes that big of a difference.
Yeah, it really just enhances everything you're getting out of it. To the point that the first time we got a set of these, I got drunk right before work because we were so impressed with the difference that we tried all the whiskeys we had. Which luckily was less at the time. But...
And I just lost my
So I think the most significant problem for people when they first get started is working their way around the alcohol. So how do they go about trying to do that?
You can do a couple of things. You can water it down a little bit. It's one thing. My favorite is put about like a half a sip underneath your tongue and hold it there for 10 to 12 seconds and then slowly swallow it in like 3 to 4 little swallows.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of it'll burn like hell when you first start doing it, but once the burn kind of subsides, then you won't notice any of the alcohol. It kind of numbs your mouth.
Yes. Now, I read a book on tasting whiskey by a guy whose name I can't remember, but he writes for Whiskey Advocate. And he talks about something called the wall, where he just recommends you drinking like at least a shot's worth of whiskey out of a glass like this per day until you start noticing flavors. And I will say that consistently, at least a couple times a week, having a little bit of whiskey out of this glass, even say this much, will get me more on edge for keeping up with notes. So you can lose it also.
Mm-hmm. And like when you're, especially if you're tasting like a new whiskey, like we're having cigars with ours, anything you're smoking or eating or drinking along with it is going to affect the flavors that you're going to be able to pick up. So you can keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, I would recommend until you've got a good palate and nose for flavor, don't have anything with your whiskey except water. Just because pairing will drastically change the flavors of both things. There's like a whole science behind that. It happens with foods as well as this. But it is wildly going to change what you're going to experience.
And another thing, a lot of times on a bottle of whiskey, it'll say it'll have like their tasting notes of what they're getting, and then as you're sipping, you kind of look for it, see if you can get anything that kind of
they
tastes.
listed.
Yeah.
Another thing is just if you haven't tasted something like eucalyptus, I had no benchmark for that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of perceived it as mint for a bit there because they're not dissimilar. I used a double negative, that was dumb. Anyway, we're not here to educate you. That's a total lie, that's exactly what we're doing. That was supposed to be a joke and then you didn't laugh, so I felt the need to clarify.
I was processing.
Shit.
But anyway, yeah, if you haven't tasted something like eucalyptus and you don't know what rye tastes like, or like, vanilla or whatever, it is good. You can go out and get like banana chips or like dried fruits or whatever that you're not sure what they're saying is. If you're drinking, what's the Isla Scotch?
Harry the Platypus, I guess.
If you're drinking Isla Scotch and you've never tasted a Band-Aid, maybe go and get an old cheap Band-Aid and
just dump some iodine on your tongue.
Yeah.
Another good thing to get is a tasting guide. Some of these also offer tasting kits to give you the flavors like a sample. We've never tried those, or at least I haven't. I think you actually got to try a little bit of that in a bar once, didn't you? No? Somebody told me they did. Anyway, we've never really tried those, but I have heard that they do help. I honestly just kind of tried different foods, especially if I couldn't put my finger on a flavor, but I was like, okay, that's kind of fruity, and then I'd go through and like try a couple different fruits when I get the chance. So just whitening your palate generally also helps. And the tasting guides allows you to kind of record what it is you're tasting and then come back and see if you find something different the next time in the same whiskey, or if you can find the same things again. So, and a lot of that just kind of starts to come, I think, as you work at it.
And going with like the same kinds of whiskeys, like if you're wanting to get in like a good beginning spot would be like starting with like an Irish whiskey and just like stick with like Irish whiskeys for a while until you can like, okay, these taste similar, and then you can start breaking them down, like what are these similarities.
Yeah, or what are the contrasts? Like, oh, I tried this Irish whiskey, and I noticed something in this that's not in this one over here, but they also taste the same in this way. Things like that. Like, almost every Irish whiskey tastes like a shortbread cookie or like literal buttery biscuits.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think I have. I can't think of anything else off.
I was saving this one for the end because it was something else I thought you could go through. So an actual tasting method.
Mm-hmm.
A good way to start is literally just to, some people recommend you swirl it around your glass. I literally watched a couple videos just for ideas before this video and watched some dude throw it away after he swirled it around his glass. I don't usually swirl it around the glass to get notes, but I do that to look for legs. And legs are just kind of whether it leaves streaks on the side of the glass as it comes back down.
And those typically is going to be there's oils in the whiskey, and then there's sugars and stick to the side.
Right. And so you'll go in, you'll want to nose it first, and just kind of put it. It's going to depend for you whenever the alcohol starts to take over, back off a little bit, and then just kind of smell it and keep your mouth open when you do. And then once you've done that and you've got a good idea of what it is, that's your nose. And then you'll have the palate and the finish. So the palate will be when you take a drink. And you can talk about the different things you taste on the palate. For me, for example, for this, I get like pears and a lot of lighter fruits. But then on the finish, I notice something more like plums and darker fruits and floral notes. So the finish is the lingering taste in your mouth after you swallow. That's whatever, I'm 5, get over it. Anyway, there's also a method, and I really expected you to touch on this method, called the Kentucky Chew, where the guy literally kind of moves it around his palate, almost like he's chewing the whiskey to get the notes out of it. if you do that while breathing through your nose, it actually does work pretty well. Not just with bourbon, also with scotch. So I thought that was worth noting.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's about all I got, unless you got something else.
No, I'm blanking out on everything. It seems like
You're good. I think we pretty much went through everything.
Okay.
All right. Till we see you again, I'm Zach.
I'm Jake.
And we are the Dirt Road Men.
If you like this video, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, drop us a comment, and check out our Facebook page for daily updates.